Kunjiladet always said he doesn't have much to talk, but I think for me, his work already speak for themselves because of the, to me, because of the sharp and straightforward solution to the design objective that he set up. And now I would like to have the honor for Professor Gustafsson to have some notion on the presentation of our panelists, please.
First of all, I have to congratulate you with very nice project, and I think they are so different, so it's impossible to say something, in common of this. But my notion is that architecture is a social tool. I mean, it's to make, frames for human behavior, and I think Kanika, sorry about destroying your pronunciation of your name, but showed us the poetry of architecture with private homes, because you need a completely different sensibility to deal with people's private homes, and you know that too, because that's very different from public larger projects. And I think the sensitivity you need to understand and give back, to a client when you have this relationship, as you showed us. I don't know anything about the processes, but and Snøhetta as a company has actually dealt quite limited with private clients like this, and it's because it's so difficult. Having a large office serving private clients with private houses is very difficult, because it's a relationship of a very special character. Then it's so much easier to relate to what you're talking about, because you are almost saying the same thing as I do. I didn't talk much about landscape architecture, but every building in the Snøhetta portfolio is influenced by landscape architects. You will not find one single building without the influence of a landscape architect, because we mix, every project involves interior architects, landscape architects, and architects. So I hope that you saw that the attitude of Snøhetta is to shape buildings within the frame of nature and surroundings, and we take the big picture as you do, the big things happening like rivers, how water are treated, and all the troubles that we have as humanity put on ourselves because we haven't been thinking. We have done smart moves, which now shows it's not smart. And I think Norway has 5.5 million people, and we have a pretty large nation, so there's a lot of space, and we have a very close relationship to nature. We were discussing the other night, nearly every Norwegian has a second home, and the second home is a small place now because of wealth, bigger and bigger. But before, in the 50s and 60s, everyone wanted to connect to the nature and leave their sort of everyday life to connect to nature. And I think a lot of societies, also Norwegians, are lacking and losing this connection, which is so important. But I think the major importance is attitude. I think as architects and landscape architects and designers, we need to do things well. And also in Snøhetta's time, sometimes you really regret that you said yes to a commission, because it seems that there's no way out. The project is wrong, the intentions are wrong, the ambitions are wrong. and sometimes we leave also. But very often you sign the contract and then there you are. But I think our responsibility, and we need to connect, because I think this world is, I mean, it's going in the right direction, but it's going quite slowly. So without thinking about the business, I think it's important to meet and discuss and learn from each other, because I'm sure we have a lot to learn. And I can promise you all that the relationship we are about to establish with the organizer of this event, we would like to take it very seriously, and we would also like to invite private business into that relationship, because our students and our future architects, they need that connection really badly. So that will be my on-the-spot answer to you. Thank you.
Can we go and have a dialogue in your design building at Snowhead?
You could.
Hello. Thank you, Professor Gustafsson, and all the panelists today for such an interesting and really inspiring lecture. And I was interested to hear you address your firm as a brand. And it's rarely that you hear, an architect address his firm as actually a brand and also a firm as well. And when you hear of Snowhead, you usually think of lots of big competitions and winning lots of competitions. But with your lecture today, I was really surprised and inspired to see a lot of conventional sort of commission projects as well. And I would like to know if your approach to competitions and your approach to commissioned private projects differ, and how are they similar? And if they do differ, how do they kind of feed off one another in your firm, and how you kind of manage to run these two types of projects, and how you approach and work on them differently or similarly in a way?
Well, it's not an easy question, so thank you for giving me a difficult one. But I think the approach in the beginning is more or less the same, but having a private client is very different from having someone representing a project. So I think in most competitions, which are very often an official client or a public client or a governmental client, there is someone dedicated on behalf of the client, and that's another way. But we never, I wouldn't say never, but very, very rarely go into tenders with money. We do design competitions. And when the client choose a design, you are on the way, because they want the design. And then, of course, there's money parts, there's schedule parts, there's a lot of things that we need to consider. But I think it's more difficult with a private client, because what I was mentioning, that that's a different relationship. With the SF MoMA project, it's not a private client, but the Fisher family, which are giving all the money to the project, has a voice. And without a good relationship to the money in that project, it wouldn't happen, because if Doris Fisher was doing this, it wouldn't happen. So you need to be quite clever in negotiating your architecture with whoever it is. But I would, if we have time, I would like to have a question for because I understand very clearly your position, because you were talking about where we are moving as a society and as cities, and we need to change that to reverse and be closer to nature. We are leaving nature. But it's interesting to see what is your challenge here in Thailand. What I mean, you are, or at least you look like a young architect. So what is your ambitions? What do you want to? And I would like to hear from all of you. Maybe there. What are your ambitions? You have been running your practice for a while. and you say that you are a woman now of fewer words, but have you changed your ambitions through the time? What are your ambitions?
Somehow the word ambition doesn't really fit into my life in a way. Or
That's
the
interesting
word,
in itself, I think.
or the word competition for that matters. I think that I have no competitive bone in my body. But I think it's important to me always to understand the connection between things. And it's something that I think that it's kind of there, since birth in a way. And so it's kind of like a self-discovery in a way, the whole process. But obviously, choosing, architecture as a tools, to explore that, to explore kind of my own relationship with everyone else, my relationship with all the environment and the context. And I think that in a way, any kind of jobs, that we do allow us to explore that. But obviously, different type of works has different characteristics. And I think that perhaps architecture fits well with people who are interested in connections, because the nature of architecture itself kind of provide you with that confrontation. You have to design something that will allow, well, I mean, most of the time, you design something for a cat, but most of the time, our job is design something that is a like a playground is not quite the right word, but a place, for human to have some kind of activities. And so I think, with that, we kind of, confronting sort of our own nature, of what kind of activities we do. And then as soon as we build something, into this world, then you have to confront with whatever the nature and the environment, be it the man-made or the natural one. And so for me, it's somehow just kind of lead itself because of the interest in understanding the connections about everything. So it just kind of somehow lead itself, into this job or work or profession, as one may like to call it. And, we were talking a little bit about retiring or retirement. And
We did.
Yeah, we did. And because we're nearly the same age, almost. And that's also somehow not quite in my vocabulary. I don't think I know how to retire, or I don't know why we need to retire in a way. I mean, one gets tired, but I think that's different than retiring. Yeah. So,
Okay. Thank
so
you.
from my, that's kind of how it happens, architecture happens to me. That's kind of how it happens, yeah.
So maybe I could...
About the ambition?
Yeah.
It's a long story, actually.
How much time do we have?
I think if you asked me this question, I think 30 years ago or 20 years ago, I would answer that I would like to design a park like a Parc de la Villette in Paris, when the Schumacher won the design. And I want to do something like very monumental and express myself as an architect, architect. But if you ask me now, I think that my attitude or perspective has been changed totally because I realized that the ambition that I believe that the ambition that I have do share the same ambition that you and all the architects around the world having the same kind of ambition in transforming the world. I think that the word transforming is the right word for the profession because we are the only profession that transforms something for the better with the physical form. But I think that ambition might not be enough in this kind of the condition of the world that we are facing today. Because you mentioned about the society. Architecture is not about the physical in my realization today. It's about transforming the society at the same time. So that's why I think the activity that I've been doing and the work I've been doing in the last 2 or 3 years has been involved with people. So it changed a lot of my perspective. But I think architect and profession need to move even forward because I think the physical form alone may not be really enough in this critical time. I think there's a certain policy level, there's a certain dialogue that as an architect we can create as well. I think normally we will get the policy makers has already written the policy and come to the client come to us. So we are kind of the bottom of the food chain at the end. And to decide something, not very sure that whether it's that right, but we need to do something out of the bad condition. But what if we can change from that dialogue to the beginning? Whether can we create those kind of policy and make the dialogue and process right from the beginning? I think we can come up with something even better for the world. Which is, I think this is an ambition that I'm sharing with you, and I do believe everyone share the same things in achieving that transformation. Yeah.
Hello. Okay. Actually, I want to retire. Maybe next month. I'm still younger, but. Because sometimes because you asked me today, and today I think that architecture is one part of my life, and I just do it best today and have fun with our company and our team. That's all. I think I have no dream, I have no goal. I just because maybe last year I passed many problems. Like I think, I just live. I just want to make a good architecture. I think made some time architecture in for me and Jewish different. I think it's just something that I have fun. That's all. I want to make something that I feel good with it. And like, yes, I think that's me today.
Yeah. Snøhetta is wanting to change the world, so it's.
I don't want to change the world. I just want to change my company and change some stuff. That is all my dream.
That's good. Yeah.